Welcome to the Sugar Dome. I'm David Bull, and today our challenge is big. Welcome to the Sugar Dome. I'm David Bull, and tonight my job is simple: to guide you. Your job is much more difficult: to prove yourself. If you can complete your creations in the 6 hours that you are given, and if you can do it better than any other team here, then you will leave the Dome as champion with $15,000. So, let's start today off right. Let's see what your challenge will be. Competitors, hold your work, if you please. The Dome demands a twist. You are, of course, currently knee-deep in an epic battle with dragons. But in addition to your beasts, the Dome needs peril. It needs a damsel in distress. The Dome wants to see sparks that fly from your rock stars' instruments during their big solo. Twist time is upon us. Did I mention the twists that the Sugar Dome throws at you? Every good toy store has its own model train set. And every train must have a tunnel. Each of you must create a tunnel with tracks and, of course, a train to ride them. Sometimes even the greatest fighting skills are no match for magic. This I've got to see. Please, press on. The Dome wanted one thing from you tonight: pure rock and roll. A seemingly simple task, but as we clearly saw, one that was incredibly difficult to pull off. One team in particular seemed to collapse under the stress, falling victim to the constraints of time and, more importantly, to the laws of gravity. The judges were looking for a battle between a dragon and a knight, not a cake maker and a sugar artist. If you don't have a plan going in, time will catch up with you, no matter how skilled you may be. And for one team, time did indeed catch up. Indeed. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Most Haunted Live. I'm David Bull, and this is the final part of our trilogy, because tonight we will reach the climax of our extraordinary investigation. So, tonight, we lift the lid on the paranormal world one more time. Well, the truth, as they say, is out there. So to help us on a quest for this truth, we're joined by our experts tonight. First up, it's our parapsychologist and skeptic Matthew Smith, and with him his very own psychic extraordinaire, David Wells.
I have to say, I definitely heard something there that sounded like footsteps. Louis, what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily want to call it footsteps.
Okay.
I mean,
did you hear something?
An anomalous sound. I mean...
Did you hear something?
There's definitely an anomalous sound on the tapes. What we can do...
So you heard something?
Yes.
Right, thank you.
I do agree with Matthew there, because there are times on this programme where, you know, we've become used to seeing the unexpected, and yet last night there were a couple of times I completely jumped in the air. And when I saw your clip back, it really, really unnerves me.
One person will share the fear. The person joining the investigation team tonight is...
Well, without a doubt, it's been bizarre 3 nights. It has been the most eventful and terrifying investigation to date. Our 3-night investigation is about to reach a chilling climax. As the midnight hour approaches, supernatural phenomena are said to be at their highest. Don't go anywhere. Get up! This evening, we investigate the NHS in a state of emergency. Well, hello and welcome to the Accident and Emergency Department, where they see 73,000 patients every year. Now, you might think that Saturday night is the busiest time for A&E, but in fact, it isn't. And I'm in the fracture clinic. Now, if you hang around here too long, you end up with one of these. But first tonight, thousands of operations are being cancelled because hospital beds are being taken up by elderly people. They're fit enough to leave, but they can't. In Birmingham, the problem is so bad that accident and emergency patients have been treated on ambulance trolleys outside the hospitals because there are no beds available inside. Well, Steve Thornton joins me now. Thank you for coming in. How can you justify closing all these accident and emergency departments when people have to travel 20, 30 miles at a time when time is absolutely vital? How do you answer that? People are waiting on trolleys. Newspaper headings are saying casualty units fundamentally unsafe, horrific waits, patients waiting on trolleys for 20 hours, a 93-year-old lady on a trolley for 90 hours. It's unacceptable.
Oh, I agree that that's unacceptable.
You must be embarrassed by the lack of security that we showed in that film. This was last week. The same time, we managed to get onto that ward. We saw confidential details of patients on the board. That's not on, is it? What are you going to do? The British Medical Association have told Health Check today that this is a national crisis. Would you agree? What did you think of the Department of Health statement?
Well, I think it's pretty pathetic.
Well, the Department of Health said, well, in fact, in the NHS plan, they have given £900 million over 3 years to keep elderly patients out of hospital. So they say they're doing something. At the end of the day, all politicians do the same thing. They play this political football, and the people who lose are people like George and Rita Hemingway. When I was in France, one of the things that impressed me was the way that you pay for your treatment, you claim it back, and therefore you don't waste doctors' time. You really only go to see them when you're ill, and there is a huge problem in Britain with people wasting doctors' time. You must be fairly keen on this drug if you campaign so hard.
Yeah, it's really important.
If those deaths are attributed to that drug, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
We've got a lot more problems in Britain. If you look at, say, other countries, Canada, 4 possible deaths, and also Australia, 1. Is there a problem with GPs, as we heard in the film, not knowing enough about that drug? Do you really believe that women should have the choice to say, I want a caesarean? Surely part of the problem is that the obstetricians are increasingly worried about the litigation if a delivery goes wrong. In a caesarean, you have a more controlled environment. Aren't you really saying, I'd much rather you had a caesarean? How can you justify not having a national screening programme for a disease that kills 10,000 men in this country?
There is no firm evidence that a routine screening programme would save lives.
Equally, though, there's no evidence that a routine screening programme wouldn't save lives.
Precisely.
It's a very hard line to follow, given that someone like Doug Davison from that film says, you know, if I hadn't had that test, I'd be dead. What about Roy Hessian as well? He says his tumour is incurable, it's too late. That's a high price to pay, isn't it? In many cases, patients don't receive a medical consultation, nor do they even see the surgeon before the operation is carried out. Instead, surgical advice is given by non-medical advisors acting as sales consultants for the clinics. Of course, there are many thousands of people who are happy with the cosmetic surgery they've received, and they feel it's made a real difference to their lives. But if you're considering a breast enlargement, a facelift, or any cosmetic procedure, it's worth remembering that all of them are surgical operations, and all of them carry a risk. Come here, young man, take your reward. I love the way you jumped up. Tell me, where do you get your inspiration, and how come you developed such a unique style, which I think is brilliant? What advice would you give to children here tonight and children across the country who want to do the same sort of things that you do?
You were only diagnosed 2 years ago, weren't you? What's it been like in those last 2 years, trying to do everything that you have to do?
Well, it's been quite hard, but I've just got on with it.
She's quite a character, isn't she? And I mean, in the short time that I've spent with her this morning, she certainly knows her own mind.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Doesn't she?
Yes.
Yes, and you know that we're talking about you. And in fact, you know, she seems very clear what she wants, and just the difficulty is that she can't communicate it to you.
That's right.
You also have other pets as well, don't you?
Yes.
You've got one really nasty pet, well, as far as I'm concerned.
Rat.
A rat?
Yeah.
Why have you got a rat as a pet?
Because she's lovely.
First of all, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you feeling?
All right, thanks. All right.
Well, you've got a lovely arrow on the top of your head,
Yeah,
so I assume it's your left eye.
Yeah.
Tell us the symptoms that you've been having in that eye. As you can see, Frida is sitting up. Hello.
Hello.
How was it?
All right.
What was it like, you know, with all that poking around in your eye? It's very exciting.
I know.
It is extremely exciting. Now, what we'd like to do, if it's OK with you, is to stay with you this morning and watch you through your operation. What's your handicap at golf?
It's very high. It's
Okay.
36,
But you've
I'm
only
afraid.
36, but you've only just started, haven't you?
Yes, yes,
Now,
not too
is it
long.
true what they say about women's golf? It's quite competitive, isn't it?
Yeah, perhaps I shouldn't say. It can be very good.
No, I only know that because my mum plays golf, so
Yes.
I know all about it. Well, good luck, and I
Thank
hope
you.
you can reduce that handicap and get your elbow
Swinging.
moving, and maybe, just maybe, think about getting rid of that electric trolley because it
Maybe.
sounds lethal. I think take a break, possibly warm up. I don't. I'm not a great football player myself, but maybe we need to look at technique to stop you breaking anything else. There we go. Hey, I'm cured. Now, your go. Christopher's turn. Look, would you like yours taken off now? You want to keep it? I think we need to take it off, though. Now, how do you deal with children who don't really want to part with their plaster cars? In terms of what sort of food he's eating now, do you feel he's eating healthy, a good balanced diet, or do you think that he's eating as all... Oh, well done. Or do you think... You're finished, well done, brilliant. Well, you do a fantastic job, and continue doing it, and I hope you have a quiet night tonight.
So do I.
This would be put on lying down, but just for demonstration we put it on standing up. It's nice and stable, but we're going to keep you hyperextended. So we just pull back on this.
All right. God,
and push down.
Thank you very much. That's terribly
So you kinda-
comfortable. Now,
We shall leave you like that.
like Action Man.